Hi everyone, welcome to channel Qtomation. Last session we have seen about Playwright introduction. We have also seen architecture of Playwright automation tool. Today's session we will see about installation and setting up Playwright in our project. So what is the prerequisite for installation of Playwright? So before installing the Playwright in our project, we need Node.js to be installed in our system and Visual Studio Code Editor to write the test scripts. So first step is we have to install Node.js. So we can download Node.js from the website. So if you go to Node.js download, if you have to simply type Node.js download and going to their official website, if you see, we have to first download Node.js setup. So we can download the installer for Node.js as well. So if you go to their website, official website, this is the Node.js installer which we have to download. So you just have to click on this download node.js. It will download that specific installer file on your system. And once you download that installer file, you just have to double click on that installer file. Once you double click on that installer, it will start installation of Node.js in your system. You just have to click on next. In the next screen also you have to just accept this agreement and just click on next. It will ask you for the location of the folder where you want to store. You just have to click on next. You just have to click on next and next. And at the end step, it will basically ask you to install. So we just have to click on install and it will finish installation of Node.js in your system. So this is very straightforward activity. You just have to download the Node.js installer, click on it, install it, and once you install the Node.js, to check whether installation is successful or not, we can use node-version command, or we can also use npm-version command. So npm is node package manager, which can be used to install different type of modules in our projects. So in my system, it is already installed. In my system, Node.js is already installed. So if I open command prompt, so how to check whether Node is successfully installed or not, we can simply type after installing the Node.js, if you type node-v, it will show you the version of Node.js installed in your system. And we can also check like npm-v, it will show you the version of Node package manager in your system. So what is the command to check? Node-v or npm-v. It will show you the versions which are installed in your system. Now we have installed Node.js in our system. So first step is, prerequisite is, we have to install Node.js. Once you complete installation of Node.js in your system, next step is Visual Studio Code Editor installation. So again, we can go to Visual Studio Code official website. Once you go to their Visual Studio Code downloading website, you will see again, depending on your operating system, you can select the installer. So once you select download option, so if I have Windows, I will download the Windows download installer. So you can click on this and it will start downloading the installer file for your system. Once that executable file is downloaded, you just have to click on that installer file and it will start the installation of Visual Studio Code in our system. So once you download that installer, so if I click on this, it will start downloading the installer file. If you see, it is starting downloading the VS executable file. So it will download the Visual Studio Code executable file. I have already downloaded it and I have already installed it in my system. So I am not going to again reinstall it. So once you click on the installer, so once you click on that installer of Visual Studio Code, it will open you this screen. You just have to accept the agreement and you just have to keep clicking on next button. It will ask you for installation location. You just have to click on next, again next. It will ask you to ready to install screen. You just have to click on install. After clicking on install, it will start installation, and at the final screen it will show you that it is completed. And once installation is completed, we can open the Visual Studio Code as well. So now we have installed Node.js in our system. After that, we have also installed Visual Studio Code. So after installation is complete for Visual Studio Code, you can open the Visual Studio Code editor in your system. After that, we have to create a new project. So now we have installed Node.js in our system. We have also installed Visual Studio Code editor. Now next step is we have to create a new project, and that we will open in Visual Studio Code editor, and then we will install Playwright. So for that, what I have to do, I will go to C drive, my project folder. In this, I am just going to create a new project folder. So I am creating, let's say, Playwright project. So I am just creating a new folder, Playwright underscore project. You can give any name to your project. So once I have created that project in my local drive, what I have to do, I have to open that project in Visual Studio Code editor. So how to open that project? You just have to click on file, open folder. After clicking on open folder, in C drive, we have created Playwright underscore project. Select that folder, and now that project is imported in our Visual Studio Code. So currently it is blank project. It is not having any Playwright installed in this project. So therefore it is not having any files in this project. It's just a blank project which we have imported in our Visual Studio Code. Now the next step. Now we can install the Playwright. So what we have done so far, we have installed Node.js, we have installed Visual Studio Code editor, then we have created a new folder of a new project and we have opened in VS Code. We have opened that in VS Code. Now next step is installing the Playwright. To install the Playwright, what is the command? So if you go to their official website, so this is their official website. So if you see installation on their official website, they have clearly given the command. So npm init playwright @latest. This command will install latest version of Playwright in our system. So I am just copying this command. Let's copy this command. So npm init playwright @latest. This command we have to run in command prompt or terminal of our Visual Studio Code. So you can simply go to command prompt of Windows. You have to go to that location of your project. For example, I have to go to location of my project. See, now if I am now inside my project, and here you can simply install this command. Once you install this command, it will start the installation of Playwright. But I am not going to execute in this command prompt. What I can do, you can also execute the same command in terminal of Visual Studio Code editor as well. So in Visual Studio Code also, if you see, there is option of terminal. So I'm just opening a new terminal. After opening this new terminal, I am already inside my Playwright project folder, and I am just going to paste or run this command, that is npm init playwright @latest. So let's execute this command. Once you execute this command, it will ask you for some additional options. So let's see those options one by one. If you see, it is asking you, do you want to use TypeScript or JavaScript? So by default, it is selecting TypeScript language. We can use Playwright with JavaScript as well. So depending on your choice. So I want to select JavaScript. You can select TypeScript or you can select JavaScript as well. So we are going to show, or we are going to create a project for Playwright with JavaScript. So by using down arrow, I am selecting the JavaScript and then I am simply pressing the enter key. Then it is asking me where to put your end-to-end test. So by default, in Playwright, there would be a test folder. Test folder will contain end-to-end test. We can configure that later as well, but by default, we are keeping it tests only. So I'm just pressing enter. It is asking next option, that is if you want to add a GitHub Actions workflow. Currently, I'm keeping it as false only. Let's press enter, and then it is asking you to install Playwright browsers. It can be done manually via npx playwright install as well. So in Playwright, whenever we are going to execute the test cases in browsers, it has its own set of browsers like Chromium, etc. So it needs to install those browsers. So it is by default true. I am just pressing enter and I am installing. So it will start installing those browsers as well. So now it is installing the browser and it is installing the Playwright in our project. It has started the installation process. It has started the installation. It has installed the packages. If you see, added 3 packages and audited 4 packages. Now it is continuing with installation process. Now it is downloading browsers. It is downloading browsers in our project. And installation is completed. If you see, installation is completed. And after installation is completed, you can see in our Playwright project folder, now there are different files which are created. So first module is Node module. So we will see one by one what exactly these are. But what we have done so far, we have installed Node.js. After that, we have installed Visual Studio Code Editor. Then we have created a new project in VS Code. We have opened that project in VS Code. Then in that project, we have executed this command to install the Playwright. That is npm init playwright @latest. It asked us some of the options. For example, choosing between TypeScript or JavaScript. By default, it selects TypeScript, but we have selected JavaScript. Name of the test folder. All the test cases, test script file by default are kept in test folder. GitHub Actions, we by default selected option as false. And we have installed Playwright browsers as well, default which was true. And once installation is completed, so after that installation is completed for Playwright. So how to check the version of Playwright which we have installed? So again, we can go to terminal and we have to just execute this command. What is npm playwright -v? So if you execute that command npm playwright -v, it will show you the version of Playwright which is installed in our project. It is 10.4.0. So this is how we can check the version which is installed in our project. Now we will see the Playwright folder structure. What is the folder structure in Playwright? So there are files which are created. So first one is, if you see, node modules. So what is exactly node modules? So node module contains, if you see, node module contains all the packages dependencies, etc. So node module contains all the npm packages required for your project, including Playwright. So all the Playwright modules, all the npm packages which are required in your project, those are present in node modules folder. After node modules, important folder is tests folder. If you go in node modules, this is basically node modules which contains all the packages, etc. required in our project. After node module, there is test folder or directory. This test folder contains the actual test cases. Example.spec.js. This is basically one of the sample test case which is provided by default by Playwright. So once we install the Playwright, by default it gives you some example spec. Spec means test cases in our cases. It contains 1 and 2 test cases currently. In example spec.js file, it is currently having 2 test cases. These are some sample test cases. We are going to see all these steps in detail in our coming session, but currently just understand the folder structure. This is basically test cases, 2 test cases which are present in example.spec.js file. And there is another folder, we can say test examples, that also contains some demo test cases. If you see, this is also demo test which are present in that folder. There is a git ignore file. So we have already seen git ignore file. So whenever we are committing, if you don't want to include some of the files in your repository, then we can use git ignore. So those files will not be committed to git repo by using git ignore. We also have package log.json and package.json file. So what exactly they are? So we have seen the test folder. So test folder contains all your test files. Inside this test folder, test file typically have the .spec.ts or .spec.js extension. So if you are using TypeScript in your project, then the extension of those spec file will be .spec.ts. If you are using JavaScript, then it will be .spec.js extension. And all the test cases will be present in test folder. Next is playwright.config.js file. Playwright.config.js file is configuration file. If you see this playwright.config.js file, it is basically a configuration related file. So it will use to define test directories, timeouts, retries, etc. It is also used to configure browsers, for example Chromium, Firefox, WebKit. It is also used to set up projects for parallel or cross-browser testing. So whatever configuration which we want to do in our project, it might be related to parallel running of test cases on different browsers. It can be related to defining the test cases directories, timeouts, retry mechanism. So all this configuration we can control by playwright.config.js file. If you see, it is basically used for configuring the browsers like Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, etc. So all the configuration which we are going to do, that will be present in playwright config.js file. There is package.json. So what is package.json file? So package.json file, it defines your node.js project, including dependencies and script. So it is similar to POM file which is present in Maven projects. If you have used Selenium or any other type of other automation tools, there will be some mechanism by which we can get all the dependencies required in our project by using one file. So package.json is basically similar to that. It defines your Node.js project, including dependencies and scripts. So whatever modules we want to use in our project, those will be present in package.json. By using package.json, we can download different type of modules and dependencies in our project automatically. So that is basically package.json. So this is high level folder structure. There is readme.md file, which is optional documentation file to explain your project setup or testing approach. There is gitignore file. .gitignore file is used to specify files and folders to ignore when we are using version control system with Git. So this is high level architecture, high level folder structure of Playwright. So once you install Playwright in your project, this is the high level project structure which is there. Most important files are test folder, because in test folder it will contain all of the test files. Extension can be .spec.js if it's a JavaScript language, or if you are using TypeScript, then it will be .spec.ts. Whatever the project related configuration is there, for example browsers, parallel running of test cases on browsers, timeouts, retries, all those will be present in playwright config.js file. Node module contains all the npm packages required for your project including Playwright. There is gitignore file and package.json. Package.json is used to define your Node.js project including dependencies and script. So this is the one way of installing Playwright in our project. So we have seen the method 1 by using command in executing in terminal. We have seen the first method of installing the Playwright. Now there is another way by which we can also install Playwright by using Visual Studio Code extension. So method 2 is, we can use any method. Method 2 is installing a Playwright via Visual Studio Code extension. So let me show you that part as well. So I will go to Visual Studio Code. So far we have installed Playwright project. We have created Playwright project. We have installed by using commands. Now I will do a new project, and in that new project I will show you another way by which we can also install Playwright in our project. So what I will do, I'm going to create a new project in my system. So I'm just naming it as new underscore playwright project. So I have created a new project, and this time I will show you how to use Visual Studio Code extensions to install Playwright in that project. So again I will go to Visual Studio Code now. Now I will open that project. So let's open that folder. So this time we are going to open new Playwright project, select folder. So now we have opened this new project. Now this project does not contain Playwright so far. It is totally blank project again. So via VS Code extension also we can install the Playwright. So what is the steps for that? We have to go to view. Inside view, you can see the extension tab. Inside view, we have to select extensions. After selecting the extension, we have to just search for Playwright. So we have to just search for Playwright test for VS Code. And you can select this. I have already installed this. I have already installed this in my VS Code. That's why it is showing you already installed. But if you are doing very first time, you will see this Playwright test for VS Code along with install option. So you just have to click on that install button. After you click on, I will just uninstall one more time. So let's say to show you, I'm just going to uninstall this. Okay, so I have uninstalled it. So now if you see, it is showing me again the install option. So I have to first install this extension. I'm just installing it. It got installed now. So first step is we have to install Playwright test for VS Code. Once that extension is installed, what is the next step? So we have to first open the Visual Studio Code. We have opened extension icon, and then we have used search for Playwright test for VS Code, and we have to click on install button. Once that is installed, you can open a folder in your Playwright project, which we have already opened it. We have installed the Playwright test for VS Code extension, but still it is not configured in our project. So for that, what we have to do, now I will go to back to my project. I am closing this. So this is our project. So inside this project, now again go to view, select command palette. In command palette, if you see this option, test install playwright. If you see this option, test install playwright, you just have to select this option, or we can simply search that option as well. So if you search for playwright, it will show you test install playwright. You have to click on that option. Once you click on that option, it will show you some options here. The browsers which we want to download, for example, Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, I have to use JavaScript. So I'm just selecting that JavaScript option and I'm unselecting GitHub Actions workflow. And then I have to click on OK. So once I click on OK, it will start automatically the installation process. The steps which we have done by using commands, now they were automatically started installing the Playwright in my project which we have created. It will automatically install Playwright now. So it is initializing the projects. It is now initializing the project, then it is installing the Playwright. Now it is installing the Playwright. These are the same steps kind of which we have already done by commands previously. That was the method one, but this time we have used VS Code extension way. It has downloaded the package, added the packages. Now it is also downloading the browsers as well. So it has started downloading the browsers and installation is completed now. If you see, installation is completed. So now if I go to this new Playwright project, you can see again node modules, test folder which contains example spec.js. There is test examples file, gitignore file, package.json and playwright config.js file. So it is exactly same like which we have seen previously. So this is a method 2 of installing Playwright in our project. So what we have seen? We have seen the method 2 of installing Playwright via Visual Studio Code extension. Now we have completed the installation of Playwright. Now to execute the test cases, we can run the following command. What is the command to execute the test cases? npx playwright test. So we can execute this command, npx playwright test. This command is used to run your Playwright test cases. It will automatically detect and execute all the test files defined in your project that follow .spec.js or .spec.ts. If you are using TypeScript, then it will execute .spec.ts files. If you are using JavaScript, then it will execute .spec.js file. So now let's execute the test cases. So I'm just going to execute this npx playwright test command. So let's go to Visual Studio Code and open it, terminal, npx playwright test command. So it will execute, it will start the test cases execution of example spec file which are there in our test folder. So it has started. If you see, it is running 6 tests using 4 workers parallelly. So it has started the test execution, parallel test execution. It will execute on Chromium, Firefox and WebKit browsers. Currently, it is executing the test cases in headless mode. You cannot see the UI which is open browser. It is executing by default in headless mode. So let the execution gets completed. We can see the status as well. It is currently, if you see now, 6 test cases are passed. It has executed those 2 test cases in 3 browsers parallelly. So total 6 test cases got passed. If you want to see the HTML report, so after test execution is completed, we can also check the HTML report which is created. What is the command for that? If you see, npx playwright show -report. So what is the command? npx playwright show -report. Once you execute this command, it will show you the report of test cases execution as well. It will show you the report of test cases execution. It will open that report in the browser. So now it will open that report in browser. If you see now, it is opening that report and all the test cases which are executed from example.spec.js file. Hash title, this one is, these two cases got executed on Chromium browser, Firefox and WebKit browser. So those got executed in headless mode. But now let's say I want to see this in headed mode. For example, I want to see the test execution on the actual browsers. If I want to see the test execution on actual browsers, then what is the command for that? So I'm just going to terminate this. Command is same. You have to simply use npx playwright test hyphen headed. Once you execute this command npx playwright test hyphen headed, it will start the test execution in browsers. We can actually see the browser's UI in which those two test cases will be executed. So it is starting the test execution. It has started the test execution. Now the browser is open. It will complete the test execution. It is basically opening that playwright-dev, and the test execution is going on another browser. It is happening very fast actually. And the third browser. So this time it is executing on third browser now, which is the Playwright browser now. And it has completed the test cases execution of those sample test cases. So 6 test cases got passed in headed mode, basically npx playwright test hyphen headed mode. It will execute on the actual browser UI. So what happens exactly when you run npx playwright test? So first, when you execute this npx playwright test command, it will start with test discovery. So playwright will scan the test directory. By default, it will check for test folder, which is specified in playwright.config.ts or .js file. So if you see playwright.config.js file, in this we have defined test directory. So it will check for .-test folder, which contains all the test cases, and it will start the execution. Then playwright will execute the test file in parallel by default, one worker per CPU core, and it is configurable. After the test cases are executed, playwright will generate a summary in the terminal, which we have seen. The summary in the terminal, whatever test cases which are passed, whatever test cases which are failed, that summary is displayed. And along with that summary, it has also created HTML report, which we can see by using show report command. There are some more things like test results, screenshots, traces, and videos. All this we are going to see in coming sessions. Those are additionally needs to be configured. So that will be stored in test results folder. And cross-browser testing. If your configuration includes multiple browsers, just now we have seen it executed on Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, then it will run on each browser. So this is how high-level end-to-end flow of test execution. If you want to run a specific test file, then we can use this command npx playwright test hyphen whatever specific test file which we want to execute, that spec name we can give. Then it will only execute the test cases which are present in this spec file. So this is command to execute the specific test file. We can also run test that matches a pattern. So if you execute this command npx playwright test login, this will check if there are any test cases which contains login in the name. If there are test cases which contains login inside the name, then it will execute those test cases. We have also seen how to execute the test cases in headed mode. So if you want to execute, by default it will run in headless mode. If you execute npx playwright test, it will execute in headless mode. But if you want to execute in actual UI of the browser, then we can use npx playwright test hyphen headed command. it will execute and it will see the browser GUI while tests are running. We have also seen HTML report. So npx playwright show report command. This will open the test cases report for executed test cases. If you want to run the test cases on specific browser, for example, if I want to run the test cases only on specific browser, then what is the command? Npx playwright test -- project equals to Chromium. So if I execute this command, it will execute the test cases only on Chromium browser. So let me show you that as well. So I am just going to execute this command. Npx playwright test -- project equals to Chromium. Now this time it will not execute all the browsers. It will execute only on Chromium. If you see, it is running two tests only using two workers. It will open it. Currently it will execute in headless mode now. Since we have not given -- headed option, it will execute the test cases in, if you see, it has already executed in headless mode. So in headless mode, the test cases got executed. If I use headed mode, -- headed, then we can see the actual Chromium browser GUI as well. Then it will open actual browsers and it will execute the test cases on that browser in headed mode. So now it is running two test cases using two workers. It should launch the Chromium. If you see now, it is launching the Chromium and it has completed the test cases parallelly. So if you see, two test cases by using two workers got passed. So this is how we can execute the test cases on Playwright tool. So this is about installation, setting up our project, executing the test cases by using Playwright. So I hope you like this session. So just revise one more time. To install Playwright, we have to first install Node.js. Then we have to install Visual Studio Code. After that, we can create a new folder and we can import that in VS Code. Then we have to install Playwright by using npm init playwright @latest command. It will install the Playwright. We can select TypeScript or JavaScript. All the configuration we can select. Then it will create the folder structure. Test folder will contain your test files. Example spec files by default will be created. There will be Playwright config.js file, which is basically main Playwright configuration file. There is package.json, gitignore file, etc. Node modules, etc. This is the first way we can install our Playwright in our project. We can also install Playwright via Visual Studio Code extension as well. You have to simply open the Visual Studio Code, go to the extensions view, select Playwright test for VS Code and install it. And then in your project, we can simply use command palette, open command palette and click on Playwright install. It will completely install the Playwright and then we can execute the test cases by using npx playwright test command. Once you execute this command, it will by default execute all the test cases present in test folder in headless mode. If you want to execute a specific test file, we can use this command. If you want to use headed mode in browser UI, then we can use -- headed command. If you want to see the report, HTML reports after the test execution, we can use npx playwright show report command. It will open the test report in browser. So thank you for watching this video. In next session, we will see some more topic of Playwright.